Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to tell you a story of the first Bangladeshi people, but that somehow missed the memo on how actually become a bakers. It's a tragic tale of a great ambition, an American dream, and an absolute chaos of trying to launch an app when most people are still loving their apps like Nokia Snake games on their feature phones. Let's dive in the story of an IMC failure case that was named as MuthoBank. This is Mr. Amjad Khan sitting in an American coffee house, using mobile in his hands. He was just paying his bill of the coffee using PayPal. And while thinking about his country, he was thinking why my countrymen can't pay using this mobile phone while they're still struggling with the cashes. A fantastic thought that initiated the mobile financial services in Bangladesh. This story is all about that. He was thinking about this. Amjad Khan took the leadership. It was back in 2010. Amjad Khan took the initiative coming back to Bangladesh. So, what was the entrepreneur's vision? It was just like this, the spark, the goal. The goal was bringing financial freedom and the Bangladeshi people to the local market. The name of the Bangladeshi people was MuthoBank. That means bank is in your grip, bank is in your fingertips. The software company Amjad Khan was working with, he started in Bangladesh Comlink Infotech Limited. And what was the plan? The plan was replicating the sophisticated American model of PayPal directly in Bangladesh. Remember the time, it was 2010. Bangladesh was having very strong mobile penetration. The networks were still in 2G, but people are using each and everywhere the phones and phones, but the feature phones, not yet the smartphones. This is what Amjad Khan was thinking, replacing people, but with a local brand, MuthoBank. Everyone will use MuthoBank and will pay everything, will send money to each other. A very successful model worldwide that PayPal has done, Amjad Khan was trying to do in Bangladesh. And what's the context? What Amjad Khan did? Amjad Khan inaugurated a digital wallet that will acting as a clearing intermediary between banks and the customers. The key activities or the key features of the software of that app was sending money to each other. So very first Amjad Khan partnered with the Bangladesh Post Office. And obviously Post Office was the name of trust for Bangladeshi people to send money from one another. That is money order, a very popular service from Bangladesh Post Office. Amjad Khan partnered with Post Office. Basically, Mutho Bank partnered with Post Office. The name was Post ePay or e-money order. The launch was done in 2010, where the early smartphone entry and the expensive 2G mobile internet was all over Bangladesh. So far, the story is so fascinating. Besides Bangladesh Post Office, MuthoBank partnered with four other banks as just PayPal. Partnering with the banks, and bank will provide you the support. You will work as a friend of the bank, as a partner of the bank. MuthoBank will act as a bridge between the banks, between the monies and the customers. This Comlink Infotech Limited, a Bangladeshi software company, was looking to launch the phase 2 of MuthoBank. This is the post offices who were offering e-money order already. MuthoBank and post offices partnered themselves to provide customers a faster money order service. But this was not the target. The target was that people will use it on their own mobile phone. They won't come to the post offices. Post office will just act as a bridging partner, as a service provider, as an agent of MuthoBank. And then look at another story. Joshim. He just learned about the MuthoBank and he was so fascinating about using this feature, sending money from one city to another, just using mobile. No fees and instant. That was so fascinating to Joshim. Joshim went to the post office. But this was a disaster for Joshim. Joshim is moderately literate with very low literacy rate. And Joshim faced the trouble. What was the trouble? It was very obvious, the need. Joshim has a strong desire for a safe and instant money transfer. But the barriers were he was in need of a smartphone. But back in 2010, a smartphone was not that much available to everyone. So this is so obvious. Being a poor grocery shopper in Bangladeshi rural areas, Joshim didn't have a smartphone. And the problem was the 2G signals. Somehow Joshim managed the smartphone from his cousin and was trying to use the MuthoBank. But the slow 2G signals, registrations were so tough, and the forms were only in English. And it was completely a disastrous experience for Joshim. And there was no local agents. Only the post office was providing the service. Obviously, this is what happened. Joshim failed. Joshim lost his hope. And this is how MuthoBank starts failing. And what happened next? This is the system failure reasons. Comlink as the running organization, MuthoBank as the service failed to do all these things together. And this is called IMC, Integrated Marketing Communication. Who were the partners in this system? Number one, Bangladesh Bank. They were running behind the policies. There was no policy at this time for mobile financial services. So Bangladesh was well ahead of thinking by Amjad Khan, the MuthoBank, but the policies were far behind the era. Four partner banks, Bank Asia, Bangladesh Krishi Bank, and two others, but they were not actively doing the promotion because they were in a fear of reputational risk. That time, mobile financial services was still unrecognized by the government and the policymakers. So bank, being a so established industry, wasn't interested to take the risk. And one another mistake. They were trying to bypass the mobile operators. They were not interested in USSD, whereas almost 90% users were familiar with the USSD. Why they bypassed the USSD? Because USSD was cost some money. So as the owner, Amjad Khan was not interested to pay those commission shares to the mobile operators. That's why he went totally over the mobile app. And the hassle was on the shoulders of customers. And the another partner, the end user. The technology, the literacy barriers, it is all over there. So the customers were feeling something burden for them, a feature that they cannot use. They have the feeling of deprivation. That I don't have a smartphone, I don't have the luxurious internet, I cannot use this feature. And the last one, the merchants. There were not enough merchants. Comlink were thinking about merchants. They were doing all things, but one after another. They were working with Bangladesh Bank. Later, they were working with banks. They were working with mobile operators. They were working with end users as well. Also trying to onboard merchants. But all in a separated way, all in a disconnected way. They never tried to connect all these things together. They were working separately with all the partners. They were working with all the partners, one another, one after another. So the system failed. The system were never linked with the ties. Here you can see a comparison how later Bikash appeared and Bikash do all these things together using IMC, the Integrated Marketing Communication. Bikash literally worked with Bangladesh Bank, worked with the USSD technology, onboarding lots of agents all over the country. And Bikash did all these things together. And nowadays, we don't know about MuthoBank. We know Bikash. And this is where the integrated marketing communication is important. This is the importance of integrated marketing communication, doing all things together, especially in launching a new feature, a new product. And one more important thing, Amjad Khan was thinking the American dream, the American feature, the American people, just copy of American people in Bangladesh. It was a product centric idea. But what Bikash did, Bikash went the customer centric ideas. And that's the core of integrated marketing communication. The customer. We should always think about the customer's perspective, what customers need, not what we can produce, not what about our product. It's all about the customer. Now, just think about these questions. You will get all the answers about integrated marketing communication from this case, from this story. How did sequential partnership prevent synergy? You all know that now. How did the app only mandates violate market orientation? Why did bank fronted branding critical for trust? Because did it. Their partnership with Bragg Bank created the trust. Why A stage was the ultimate deal breaker for Jashim? And was the failure due to timing or lack of cultural adaptation? Now you know all the answers. Feel free to think, feel free to go back this story and find out your own results. Thank you everyone.